Good afternoon, I'm Paul from West Country Wanderings, and you join me again back in Brixham, different part of Brixham. Remember last time we were exploring Churston and the harbour down by the fish market, that area. We've now come to a part of Brixham called Sharpen, and also we have towards us the beautiful St Mary's Bay. So why not come and join me and let's explore. Now notice dotted around the countryside here and actually in through the new housing estate come through is a lot of these tree sculptures. There's one just behind me there. All different kinds of shapes, really interesting. So if we've got a chance we'll have a look at a few more of them. But what we're looking at mainly is the beautiful St Mary's Bay. Now I will put a map up on the screen. There is actually a notice board behind me. What's interesting about this place is that although it's in Brixham, it's actually just not far from the town centre. It's very hard to find. I actually work in Brixham and I was scrabbling around with my OS map to get here, but when you get here it's amazing that more people don't know about it, because this is the most incredible view. Now, one of the reasons this is interesting, if you've been following the series, you'll notice that the geology changes at this precise point. Nearest the camera, we've got the Dartmouth slates, which you'll be familiar with by now if you've seen the vlogs I've done over the past couple of weeks. But behind that is where everything changes. We have some lias clay, and then further around St Mary's Bay we get into the very famous Devon red sandstone. Now if you follow the coast all the way round, this red sandstone follows it up through Torbay, round Teignmouth, and then onto the famous red cliffs at Dawlish, where the main line between Penzance and Paddington goes. You're now looking down towards Sharkham Point. There was a car park on the top, but a very tricksy lane, so I've actually parked in the housing estate and walked along the footpath to get here. Gorgeous colour sea here at the moment. Now quite noticeably the footpath has changed colour from the grey when we're above the Dartmouth slate to the reddish colour which we had when we were over at Churston, where the underlying bedrock is Devon red sandstone. One of the things that's striking about this footpath is that there is obviously areas that have gone before. What I mean by that, the land has been used and reused many times over. Take this fence for example. I believe it denotes the edge or boundary mark of where one of the holiday parks were at this area. There was a large Pontins holiday park at St Mary's Bay, and I think it was demolished a couple of years ago, fairly recently. They have built rebuilt some chalets in the area, some rather upmarket chalets, obviously currently empty because of lockdown. But you do get a sense that the land here has been used many times over for different purposes over the centuries, not just in the 20th century, the last century, but in previous ones to that. And what we have on the outcrop behind me is remnants of the iron deposits. If you remember, I said about the ochre which was used with the paint, and we had the limestone in the area, the slate quarries, we had the lime kits that was heating up and was part of the Brixham paint process. One of the things I didn't talk about at that point was the number of iron mines that were around Brixham, and you can see evidence of that on the cliff here just behind me. There's better evidence of the iron deposits and the ochre, which is like an orangey red stain on the grey slate, hard slate, which is just behind my right shoulder at the moment. Now making our way towards Berry Head. Now I won't have time to cover Berry Head in detail. If I do have time before I move to Cornwall, I will cover that in a future vlog. But just to give you a gist, that Berry Head is one of the major sites of the geological history of the Tull Bay area, and I think it markets itself as 300 million years in the making, which pretty much sums it up. There's lots of evidence of Napoleonic forts. In fact, there's actually a cafe inside one of the forts, and I think if we get a chance we'll have a look at one of them, one of the smaller ones, on this footpath. So welcome to Berry Head. I stand corrected, it's actually 400 million years in the making, and the story continues. So as I say, it markets itself as the gateway to the English Riviera Geopark, but it's also importantly a national nature reserve. So it has scientific importance because of its extensive geological features. Now we are down here, so we've entered it from the St Mary's Bay entrance, and we've got the first fort is the South Fort here, so we'll have a quick look at that, see if we've got a chance to walk a little bit further along the coast. So we have the smaller fort in front of us and the more substantial fort in the centre of Berry Head, just behind. Now Brixham did used to have a Coast Guard station, and it sadly closed a few years ago. I think it was about 10 years ago now. Falmouth now being the nearest in South Cornwall. There is still, however, I think it's called a Coast Guard Lookout. It's the institute. It's like a charity that they still have volunteers at the site here that look out to sea, and they feed the information into the main marine and maritime Coast Guard agency. So this is the Southern Fort, or Fort number 1, and it's one of the two forts constructed at Berry Head between 1795 and 1805 during the wars with France. And guns were positioned on the headland defending the bay from invasion, and the forts protected these guns from inland attack. As I say, there was protected by a drawbridge over the dry moat, and there was a guardhouse here to the right, which is just over here. We're going to have a look at that. Just come onto the beach here at St Mary's Bay, and I think I've got the place to myself, which is reminiscent of the cove when I was at Street there the other day. Just found this. There is a little stream running down, and the source of it is quite interesting, quite steep steps coming down, so have a look at this. Now, as I say, the stream comes out and flows down there. Well, it actually does a percolating thing similar to what happened at that cove at Street, Land Cove. But if you have a look at this here, to watch it, because it is quite slippy, it actually comes out from a cave. Now, like the other coves that we've seen over the past few days, this one does actually go back quite some distance. Now again, very similar to what we saw at the cove at Street, we have these very, very curvy slates. You can see the different layers of the slates build up over millions of years, but you can also see how the slate has curved. Well, this is day 2 of filming here at Shark and Port. It's just a few days later from where I was doing the other pieces to camera. And we've still at St Mary's Bay. We actually moved around, and you noticed a change in the landscape here. Yes, we're actually in a mining landscape. We've come around to Sharkham Point, which is on the opposite side of St Mary's Bay to Berry Head. And we're looking out for evidence of mining activity. Now, you may remember that I mentioned that iron ore was mined in these parts. Because there is limestone, the bulk rock is limestone, what's happened is warm saline seawater has interacted with the limestone, and you get veins of hematite or iron ore which creep up through the bedrock of the limestone. And this is what they mined here at Sharkham Point. It employed around about 100 local people at its peak. I believe it closed around towards the end of the First World War, although there was what they call pick activity, which went on to around about 1930. A side effect of this is that from the hematite as well, they also got some ochre deposits, and that was used in the paint production. So spin-off is that, going back to the previous story I was talking about, Brixham, where we had the paint factory in New Year Road, there was also another one down by where the university is now. They would have used that ochre as a pigmentation for the paint, which again we used from the boats. And as you know, Brixham was the first place in the world to invent paint, which could be painted onto iron to stop it corroding. So why not join me, and we'll have a look around this site here and see what evidence we can find of the mine. There are some adits here. I haven't found one yet. That's adits, not adders, so there might be some adders, but it's not warm enough for adders, I don't think, yet. So we'll have a look, see if we can find any adits where the actual mining took place. This obviously probably was something to do with the mining here. There's a small building here, a small enclosure, and that looks like that was part of the mine itself. And further behind me, at the back there is evidence of where the mine has been extracted. We'll also have a look down at the cliff point there, where you can see more evidence of the ochre coming through. Really strong visual evidence of the iron ore deposits in this area. Now there's clear evidence here of where the miners presumably blasted, although I don't have exact details of what techniques that the miners here at Sharkham Point used to extract the iron ore. You can see here that there's also green deposits, and obviously the main green is just ordinary lichen and growth, but there's other markings around here. For example, on the rock here, not sure what that was significant. I'm not aware there's any coppery deposits here, because it is purely just iron, but you can certainly see the hue there, and it differs to the red sandstone base. Also, it has like a knobbly texture to the rock, and denoted by the chunks here. So this has all been hewn out from the base rock, the limestone, and this is an intrusion of iron ore into the limestone rock, as I say, from the saline solutions acting on the red sandstone, moving across the limestone. This is where the two meet. Now this is the green that I was referring to. Down here is a very, very vivid green, and I'm not sure there's some kind of lichen action going on. It's actually gone across to the soil itself there. But this is not what I'd actually come here to show you. The reason I've come to this part is to show you this adit, which I've just found. Unfortunately, I don't have any lighting equipment with me to give you a full breakdown. I wasn't sure what we were going to find here, but the adit does is open still, and it does go back some considerable way. There it is. There is like an arch that the miners have again hewn out of the bedrock, and it, as I say, it certainly goes well back into the cliff here, and is mined right through it. There are several adits on Sharkham Point. I'm not sure whether this is one of the biggest ones, but we'll have a look, see if we can find some more. But yeah, that goes back some considerable difference. There might have been a collapse further back as well, which probably the camera isn't picking up, but it is pretty open once you get past the entrance there. And obviously this is a man-made adit, nothing to do with a limestone cavern, which also Brixham has, which is another different topic for a different day, I think. Just spotted this enormous container ship just coming in front of another container ship. Don't see them that often here in this part of the English Channel. We're a bit further away from the main sea routes, but it's going at a fairly hefty lick actually for something of a considerable size. It's a very, very much streamlined ship there. Now come to the top of Sharkham Point. Magnificent view. Kingswear is the other side of the headland there, and we have the fantastic Mansands beach just in here, and Scobbicombe beach is there. Town centre of Brixham's about 3 miles over that way, and Kingswear is about 7 miles. Well, you go around the coast, it's about 7 miles around that way, but probably as the crow flies just about 3 or 4 miles of that, and obviously Dartmouth is just the other side. Just a nice little touch here. We're on the coast path. Lovely little tribute to somebody called Murdoch, who passed away. Looks like they passed away in 1995. And obviously Berry Head to the right, Mansands to the left. There's this sign here, which is from the Torbay Coast and Countryside Trust that look after Sharkham Point. It's called Loving Our Limestone, and it basically says work's been carried out over a 3-year period to restore and maintain the key limestone grassland sites, which we're on top of the moment. And it's Torbay's limestone vegetation unique. Squill, spurge, fescue grasslands are found nowhere else on Earth. That's quite impressive. I wasn't aware of that. Yet with only 22 hectares surviving, it can be considered one of the UK's rarest and most threatened vegetation types. And they've removed scrub invasive species from the site to safeguard the habitat for future generations. So well done for them for getting behind that initiative. That's great. I'm just walking back to the main coast path round to the edge of St Mary's Bay, heading back towards where I've parked my car, and I found this location. I'm going to take you round. It's got amazing atmosphere, it's incredible. We've got over here we have our old friend the iron ore back right on this side. There's also evidence of lots of old buildings here. Now I don't know if they are to do with the mine. Could well be. Could have been like an administration office, like a gatehouse for people coming in and out from work. That's that kind of thing. That's the feel I've got. There's been another building which has got a newer roof on it, but it's also derelict. I'll just show you that in a minute, which is utilising part of the original foundations from the building, which I guess is something to do with the mine that was here. But there's also evidence of there's bits where there would have been fires for like chimneys, probably to keep the workmen warm. But it just has a wonderful atmosphere. We have these amazing lichens on the bark on this side. Yeah, we have these amazing lichens on the bark, which has a vivid yellowy green colour. In fact, the whole colour of where I am standing at the moment is slightly unusual. It's different to where I was out on the coast. It's probably got a yellowy green tinge on the camera picking it up. That's not a default of the camera or any of my camera settings. It is actually looking like that because of the nature of the trees here. The glow, mysterious glow we're getting from the rock, which have got the reddish hues, also the green from the algae and the ferns that are behind them. But it has this calming atmosphere, quite slightly unusual atmosphere. You get a sense of history in this place. As I say, I don't know exactly what it was for. I have a strong feeling it's got connections to the mine, but I'll just guide you around. I've just got the camera on the tripod at the moment to keep it steady. I will just take you around to show you what's here. Yeah, so we have this part of the building over here. Obviously it's Victorian because of the brickwork. That's what made me think it's to do with the mine, the iron mine. Not sure when it opened. I think it was around the 1850s. I will check on that for you. You've got further earthworks over on that side, and a wall on here. And the wall, actually, they've built another building on top of it, which is probably about 40-50 years old, maybe a bit older than that. And they've used the original foundations again. It's probably something to do with the mine. Well, that concludes the second tour I've had of the area around Brixham. Hope you found it interesting and perhaps discovered something new you didn't know about Brixham. I certainly have uncovered some things which I didn't know anything about Brixham. I've also been uncovering some bits and pieces about the caverns, and that's perhaps something I'll return to, the limestone caverns that are in Brixham. Something I'll perhaps return to in a future vlog. But next time we'll move away from Brixham. I'm actually doing a recording at the moment in the Minster doing this one, discovering one of the disused railway lines in South Devon, so perhaps you'd like to join me for that. If you hit the subscribe button and then the bell icon, then YouTube will notify you when that one uploads. Hopefully that'll be in the next week or so. And if you watch the one I did on B-Sands, I'll also be doing the one which touches on the Victorian story, which will be over in the Exeter area, as we're now allowed to move a bit further away from our home. So hopefully that'll be in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And in the meantime, please stay safe, please look after yourselves, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care, all the best.